Well, it's beginning to feel like fall. Today, I believe, is the 15th of September, and I'm sitting here, believe it or not, bored in this garage. Look at all this junk that I still haven't organized. I've been working on a bunch of different projects. I haven't posted any videos because I've been so damn busy. But I had my wife help me change the oil in this Benchy UTV, and I counted on her to put the oil plug in tight and right. And this is what I come into the garage finding: a big puddle of oil under my... These, don't ever buy one of these Benchies, man. These are the cheapest pieces of crap. So hard to change the oil or change the filter in the engine. I've had to drill into the plastic frame of this thing in order for me to get access to the oil filter. It's a pain in the ass to pull the oil plug, and the oil plug's got a crazy spring and some sort of a rubber washer that you have to get on there just right, or you get this going on. My dog's barking at me because he wants me to throw his ball. Where's the ball? Where is it? Where's your ball? Oh, there it is. He's got a lacrosse rubber ball. His yellow lacrosse rubber ball. Very hard. Chews on it. He's not able to bust that. I think we might start using those as his play ball, because he hasn't been able to destroy that ball. He's got two of them. And every time we come to the shop, he looks for that ball and he finds it. No matter where it is, he finds it and wants me to throw it for him all the time. Anyways, the video I'm gonna do today, you know, there was a editorial, or no, it was probably a tips and tricks article I read in Fine Woodworking magazine many years ago about you know, how all these guys are having trouble keeping their shops organized and keeping their tools where they need to be. I work in my shop, and I just sometimes I just leave things on, leave things go, and I don't actually put aside the time to clean up. And I'm usually working to the time that I have, and sometimes over that time, and I just don't, either I'm too tired or don't have the time to clean up and organize. But if I could get this place organized, make it easier for me to get my tools back in place, you know, maybe I'll spend that extra 5 or 10 minutes. This way here, I just got crap everywhere, everywhere. Nothing organized, there's no rhyme or reason for anything. But back to the article I read in Fine Woodworking. I used to have a subscription to that magazine, but not anymore. It's a great magazine, but I kind of got bored with woodworking and got into metalworking. But the one tips and tricks that always sticks in the back of my mind every time I'm in my shop is that, you know, when you come into your shop, if you make up your mind to do 10 things to organize, you know, put away 10 different things when you come into your shop every day, or every time you come into your shop, doesn't have to be every day, put away or organize 10 things, then eventually you'll get your shop organized in a, you know, in a manner where it's not painful. But I think this is going to be painful, because I'm going to have to first set up some sort of an organizational strategy and then follow that, you know, that advice of putting 10 things away each time you come into your shop. Anyway, so back to what I was saying. I kind of got a little bored with woodworking and got into metalworking. I've always done some metalworking, even when I was a kid, but it's been many years since I've worked with a lathe or a mill, and I bought one of these 2-in-1 machines from, I forget who I bought it from, but it's a Weiss. It's an okay machine for what it is. It's, kind of a mini lathe, mini mill. The mill is pretty much useless because the stage is so close to the drill head that you don't have much throw in the mill head to make it useful. But if you need to do drilling operations while you're on the lathe, it does come in handy for that kind of stuff. So at some point I'm going to need a dedicated mill, and I'm going to get a bigger, probably knee mill, something similar to a Bridgeport or a Bridgeport clone. But what I was going to do today, everybody that owns this particular lathe, they all have trouble getting the saddle, this thing here, to lock. Because when you're doing facing operations or cutoff operations, if this thing isn't solid in there, it tends to wander. And your facing operations or cutoff operations never work out. It can be very dangerous too when you're trying to cut off. So there's a carriage lock screw back here that is real ridiculous to get to. See, this shield right here is the shield for the magnetic strip on the DRO for this direction, in and out. I guess that would be the Y direction. I'm not sure. I think this is the X direction. This would be the Y direction. This shield gets in the way of it getting any tool in there. And definitely, it's a number 6 hex wrench that you have to get in there. And you can see, there's no way I can get this in there. So many a YouTube machinist with this similar mill have done projects to make some sort of a handle situation where, to make this more convenient. What I was going to do is sacrifice this number 6 hex wrench, cut the tip off so I can get this slid under there. This nut is pretty deep and will hold that pretty well in there. And if I want to in the future, I could put a little weld on this and make it permanent. And then, I'd have to take this off, and I really don't want to do that. So I'm not going to make it permanent with this short video, but you can imagine if I wanted to, I could put it in there, put a little weld here and here. And for the handle, I've got this old screwdriver handle with all the bits missing, and I never use it, but it conveniently attaches to this, so I have a lever bar. And I could also put a little weld on this connection and just make it permanent if I wanted to. But what I'm going to do is make a slot for it here close to the lathe and just use it when I need to. But what I'm going to do today is, put this aside, I'm going to cut off just enough of the tip of this with an angle grinder so I can slide this thing in and then allow it to drop. So I'm going to have to cut off about that much. And that much looks to be about 25 millimeters, 1/4 inch. Cut off a 1/4 inch, get it nice and square so I can slide it in there, drop it down into that hex screw, and then use this screwdriver as my handle. So I'm going to turn off the video. I'm going to go grind this down, try and pretty it up a little bit and see if I can get this to work. Okay, I got it to fit. I'll show you. It just barely fits under that shield. I kind of rounded over the edges. You don't realize, if you look at the tool that comes from the manufacturer, they do a pretty good job of rounding over, you know, the ends of these hex drivers so that they fit inside the nut or the bolt, whatever you're trying to insert it into, without any hang-ups. So I had to kind of take a bastard file. I love being able to call that file a bastard file. My wife gets all upset when I say that. Just like when I ask her to bring me a pair of dikes, she gets upset. You know, wire cutters when we're doing electrical work. She gets upset when I call them dikes. I guess they're supposed to be called lineman pliers. That's what she says. She's teaching me about the name of tools. But I'm sorry if I offend any dikes out there, and I'm also even sorrier that you... So what I did was, okay, now this is loose. Well, there. And the saddle moves freely with the knob. There's a little bit of drag there, but I like that. Now, I can set my hex wrench in there. You see it fits under the shield, and I can find the nut. And the good thing is, once I get it in there, I can leave it there. It's pretty, I mean, that's pretty stable. And if in the future I want to make it permanent, like I said, I can put a little weld on the nut. But it fits under there pretty good. Fits in the nut pretty good, and it doesn't look like it's gonna fall off. I mean, you really have to work at it to get it out of there. But I have it clocked just right so that now I could probably leave that in there the way it is. I don't see it getting in. I don't see it getting in the way of anything. I could be wrong. But then I can take my trusty screwdriver body, and I've got all this leverage, and I can lock the carriage, you know, with some pretty good force to this position, which seems like that makes this clamp more useful, because that's pretty tight. It is really not moving. It's not going anywhere. It's tight. And I've seen YouTubers making new clamps down here, big pain in the ass thing. I think if you just make a wrench with enough leverage, and I can actually tighten this by hand to that point comfortably and even beyond without that screwdriver. And that thing is locked. It's locked. So I think I've solved my carriage lock problem, and that's not coming out, you know? That's no welding. And I'm gonna leave it in there permanently. I mean, I ruined a number 6 hex wrench, but shoot, I can get another one. I mean, that's a lot cheaper, I believe, fix than you know, actually building a new handle. Anyways, I hope this helps. If you've got one of these Weiss lathes, shoot, just take a number 6 hex wrench, modify it a little bit, cut it down. And you don't even need to do that if you don't have a DRO with a shield. This is the problem. This is what makes it hard to get to that hex nut, hex bolt, or whatever, hex head, this thing. And conventional Allen wrenches won't fit because they're too long. So you're gonna have to grind it down, get it in there. And this, I grounded it down so it just barely fits in there. And it drops all the way down into the nut. And it's very easy to clock to lock now. There you go, it's locked. Let me do that again. By hand, that's loose. Clock to lock. And I don't even need this thing. I could use it if I wanted to, make it easier. Just slip it on there and just turn it out. And that hex wrench is not going anywhere. It's staying in there. Shoot, my camera work sucks. I can wiggle the heck out of this, it ain't going anywhere. And then I lock it. Done! All right, well, I hope this was helpful. Sorry about the language, bastard and dyke, but you know, that's life. See ya.